Okay, I'm back. Um, Thought, there might be a chance that people who are learning Latin with the current situation and quarantines being what they are and so forth, there might be a chance that there's some people out there who have a little extra Latin time on their hands. And quite frankly, um, there are worse things you could do with your free time. Um, anyway, for those of you who are um, doing remote learning, uh, are wanting to learn Latin for your own edification and enjoyment, I thought I would get back on and post another video. It's been a long time. Um, I'd make excuses, but I doubt anybody cares. So we're just gonna skip the excuses. Um, gonna hit the homework. For those of you who still have it, remember it from 8 months ago. And I'm going to hit the imperfect for the third, IO third and fourth. IO third and fourth are pretty much the same deal. Two different conjugations, so you still have to know which verb belongs to which family, so you know what the infinitive looks like and all of that. But they do the exact same thing in the imperfect. The imperfect is a really nice tense. It's really nice. Um, so that's kind of my plan. If you didn't see my video on first and second conjugation in the imperfect, we also did the accusative case, which is what this focuses on primarily, just um, composing Latin and using the stuff that you know so far, like nominative, accusative, verbs, conjugating, declining, all that stuff. If you don't remember that video or you didn't see that video and you want to see that video, it's on my channel. Um, anyway, we're going to break these apart. We're going to put them in Latin, and then we're going to do our verbs, and I will give you homework. And since, like everybody else in America, I find myself at home a lot more. Um, Not necessarily more free time, though. Oddly enough, I've had less free time in the last month than normal. I don't know what that is, but anyway, I feel like I'm busier now than I was before this whole thing broke out. I don't know how that works. There's nowhere to go, there's nothing to do, but I'm busier. Okay, so anyway, there's some irony for you. All right, let's look at these. This was your homework. The farmer sees horses. Exciting sentence, I know, but we're getting the basics down, so just roll with it. I think when I was a teacher, I came up with something like, the work is hard, but the food is good, or something like that. I was just struggling to come up with a sentence for my students to put into Latin, and that's what ended up on the board. And there were a couple students who didn't forget it. Really didn't forget it. Anyway, I'm classic for coming up with random sentences, but we got limitations here. So, all right, not Shakespeare. First of all, let's just talk about what parts of the sentence we're looking at, okay? Because we know about subjects, we know about direct objects, and we know about verbs. Those are the things that we know about in Latin so far. So if we looked at this sentence, what would be our subject? The farmer. Okay, hopefully you said farmer. I'm going to put an S above farmer for subject, okay? That's what he is. What would be our verb? What thing are we doing, or is the farmer doing? I hope you said sees. I'm going to put a V for verb, or V for victory. Okay. And then the farmer sees something. Because the sentence doesn't end with the farmer sees, he just got his vision back or whatever. He's seeing something. So what is the thing that he's seeing? Because that's our direct object, if you remember. Horses are our direct object. I'm going to put a D-O there, okay? So we have our subject, our verb, and our direct object. This is classic English sentence structure. Subject, verb, object, okay? These are the sentences that you would have had when you were in elementary school and you were learning to write sentences or read or whatever. Okay, Latin doesn't do that. For those of you who are kind of playing catch up, Latin rarely ever has sentences in English word order. It's something that you only really see in textbooks that are trying to teach you Latin and are trying to keep it as straightforward as possible. Okay, so typically our verb is going to go at the end. At least for now, let's do it that way since you guys are learning. You will see the verb come at the beginning, go in the middle. You'll see it all over the place. But for now, we're going to put our verb at the end because that's sort of the textbook style for composing a Latin sentence. Let's start with our subject, even though the subject doesn't have to be, and a lot of times is not at the beginning of the sentence. Let's just do it that way, just for clarity and for simplicity. So the farmer is our subject. What case do subjects go into? Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, or ablative. Those are your options. There are a lot of them, aren't there? I hope you said nominative. So nominative. Now we need to come up with the vocabulary word for farmer. Does anybody remember that blessed word? We get agriculture from it. It is agricola. Okay? Agricola happens to be in the nominative, so we don't have to do anything to it. I probably should do just a happy recap video, like a 15-minute video where we just decline and conjugate everything that we know and post that. Anyway, agricola is in the nominative. Does anybody know what gender farmer is? It's a first declension. It is masculine. Remember, we do have those first declension masculines. They are the exception. They're not the rule. The rule is that typically your first declension nouns are feminine. Table, roadway, path, house, things like that. Typically feminine in the first declension. This guy happens to be masculine because it's an occupation. Okay? Only men had jobs. It's just the way it was. Okay? So if it was an occupation, it was masculine. All right. So the farmer. We're going to do our direct object next because our verb is going to go at the end. Okay? So let's talk about our direct object. Does anybody remember what case your direct object has to go into? I hope you said accusative. Now we need the accusative for horse. And we need it to be, is it singular or is this plural? Plural. We have more than one. Horses. Okay. So we have two or more horses, which makes it plural. We need a vocab word for horse. Anybody remember?
Have you seen Porter get up yet?
Are... What?
Have you seen Porter get up yet?
Yeah. He's somewhere.
He came out of his room with the phone in his hand, and I haven't seen him get up yet.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. We were communicating about my son who mysteriously got out of bed, came downstairs, and went unnoticed for a little while. I noticed him. I knew he was there, but anyway, my husband was confused as to how he missed it. Anyway, okay, so horses. We get the word equestrian from this. If you don't remember, it's equus. Equi. Okay. This is second declension. It's masculine. Okay. So if we were going to do the accusative plural, what would we have? We would have equos. I hope that's what you thought of or wrote down or resurrected from 8 months ago when I did the predecessor to this video. Okay, so Agricola, Equos, and now we need our verb, seize. We need a vocab word for seize, and then we need to conjugate it. So our vocabulary word for to see is video, videre. I'm sorry if you can't read that. I'm writing from a very strange angle over here. So we get the word video from that, okay? All right, so we need to conjugate this. Is this first, second, third, or fourth conjugation? We've done all four. Which one is this? Second, okay? It's second. We know it's second because we have an E here, okay? In the first person singular, that's a big tip off. And we also have an E here. That's less of a tip off. But at least if we know that that's the infinitive, we know that it's not first conjugation, and we know it's not fourth conjugation. So that helps. It narrows it down. You got a 50-50 shot of getting the right answer. Okay. So this is, if you can remember that we get video from it, you've got your first person singular in the word video. Most people don't call them videos anymore. I just realized that, like, anyway, whatever. So anyway, you have your E there. That is your biggest tip off. Long E in the infinitive here, okay? That E is long, so it's videre. It's not videra or whatever. Okay, it's videre, and it's video. All right, we need to conjugate this. What would the person and number be if it's a single farmer, one farmer doing the seeing? Is that singular or plural? I hope you said singular. Now, is that first, second, or third person? Is it I, you, or is it a he, she, it, they? It's a he, right? Farmer, he. Okay, we know it's singular. Okay, so our verb is going to look like that. There's no word for the in Latin, okay? You can sort of approximate it when you get farther into Latin to make things emphatic, like the man, you know, but you're a little ways away from that. So no word for the, just ignore it. Okay. The sailor calls the children. All right, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to parse our sentence here and figure out what everything is. So sailor, what part of our sentence is that? Subject. Where's our verb? Calls is our verb. And whom is our subject calling? Children. Direct object, okay? The people being verbed. I couldn't say the thing being verbed because children aren't things. Okay. So we need a word for sailor. We get words like astronaut from this word. Astronaut's a compound, but the last part of it, not. We also get nautical miles from this and things like that. Nauta. Now this has to be in the nominative. I got a tiny little bug. Okay. So our nominative is nauta. Okay. That is sailor. We're going to do children next. We have to be careful. This is the word that looks like the word for book. And you have to be extremely careful how you decline this word. Otherwise, you're going to have farmer sailors calling books. And sounds a little crazy to me. Okay, so our word for child is liber. Okay, and it's liberi. Do not do libri. If you do libri, you've got the word book, not child. So we need the plural accusative here because this is our direct object and it is indeed plural. Children, more than one. So what we're going to have is, okay, that is second declension. It's masculine. Remember that if there's a group of people and there's even one man in that group, the ancients thought of it as masculine. Okay. So this is masculine, and it's plural, and it's accusative because it's our direct object. It's the thing being verbed. Okay. The sailor calls. He's calling the children. Okay. Now we need a word for calls, our verb. Remember our vocab word for that? We get words like vocation from it. It's your calling. Even if your job isn't the job of your dreams, it might be considered your vocation, your calling. Woco, vocare. Does anybody remember what conjugation that is? First, okay, we have an O ending in the first person singular. We have an A in the infinitive. That A in the infinitive is your tip off. Okay? So we need to come up with first, second, or third person. Third, first, or singular or plural. There we go. There's the question. It is singular. So we're going to have wocat. Boom. Okay. All right. I'm going to do this next one without a whole lot of explanation because we've diagnosed 2 others. If you are still having trouble, you can always write me a comment. I do actually respond to comments much better than I actually get around to posting videos. Posting videos takes a lot of planning for me because I have 3 small children. And yeah, life doesn't happen on my schedule. So, anyway, all right, let's do this. We're going to start with the boys because I'm starting with the subjects for now just to keep it simple and okay. Pueri is nominative plural. Okay. It is masculine because we're talking about boys. We're not talking about girls. Okay. Books. Here we go. You get to see the difference. We have plural books. Okay. We have accusative. So it's libros. Notice the difference. We had liberos up here, libros down here. We get the word library from the word for book in Latin. Okay. And then we need a word for hold. We've learned teneo, tenere, so we're going to use that. Okay. And we need a third person, plural, tenent. Okay. Third person, plural. And that is present active indicative. All right. So that's what your homework should look like. Maybe minus parsing everything. You didn't necessarily have to do that. I did it just to make sure that you understood why you were doing what you were doing, because there's no point in just writing down what I write down and calling it good. You're not going to learn anything that way. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about the imperfect third conjugation. Io third and fourth. Okay. Let's do just third for right now. Third conjugation. Oh my goodness. Is this thing gonna fall on me? I noticed all the corners on my on my board have come off. This board is about 2 catastrophes away from just falling apart. I'm gonna have to get a new one. My kids got a hold of it, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to clean it when I first found it. I wasn't sure that they actually used dry erase markers on it. I had to scrub this thing to get it clean. We're doing imperfect. For those of you who need a refresher, the imperfect is a past tense. Okay, we translate it was doing something. Okay, and it indicates that the action was not finished. Okay, so I was studying. I didn't indicate in my sentence that I ever finished studying. I mean, logically, you'd have to assume that I did at some point, but the grammar doesn't give us a reason to say that the action ever ended. Okay. You can use the imperfect also to show repetitive action. You can show it. You can use it to show habit, things that somebody does regularly, habitually. Okay. We still use our present stem, which we find by taking the present infinitive and we cut off the RE, and that's your stem. Okay. And to that, we add our imperfect endings. I'm going to write the imperfect endings down first just to refresh our memories. And then we'll do a third conjugation, a straight third, not an IO third. We're going to save those to do with the fourth so you can see how they're remarkably similar. Okay, so here are our endings. First person, second person, third person. We're going to do singular and plural. Bomb, B-A-M. Boss, bot. Bamus, batis, bont. Okay, these are your endings. These are your imperfect endings, okay? These are the endings that show that this action happened in the past. It's incomplete action, unlike, say, your perfect tense. And yeah, we're going to tack these on to your present stem because this is still part of the present system. We don't move out of the present system until we get to the perfect tense. Okay, until then, we're in the present system, which means we're using our present infinitive. Okay. All right. So here we go. Let's find a third conjugation verb and let's work it out. So I chose, yeah, I'm good old. I chose winko, winkera. The famous quote from Caesar, Weeny Weedy Weeky, comes from this. Our third principal part is weeky, okay? And then it's victus. We get the word victory from this, okay? So this is to conquer. I think you can also translate it as overcome. I think you can. I'd have to look it up, but I think you can. So, conquer. All right. So, winko, winkera, wiki, victus. All right. We are in the present system, so we need this guy right here to find our stem. Now, our stem is going to be found by taking this RE off, and that is going to be our stem that we need. And we need it for the whole thing. It never changes. Nothing about it changes, actually. It's really nice. It's really, really nice. The one thing that you will see in textbooks is that this E becomes long. It was short before, and now it's going to become long when we put our endings on it. It might not ever matter, or it might only matter when you get to poetry. I don't know. I don't know what your teacher is teaching you or how they teach you. I don't know if you're ever going to scan poetry or not. I don't know. I hated scanning poetry in Latin. I liked it much better in Greek. I thought Greek was much more straightforward, but that's just me. The sun's coming out. We had like serious rain and wind here a little while ago. I don't know, it's Texas. We have really spastic weather. Okay, here we go. So we need bombas bot endings, and we're going to attach it to our stem here. So first, second, third person, we're going to do singular and plural. Let's write down our stems so we don't screw anything up. Okay, so our stem is that. Looks like Vince. Okay. Hang on, baby. Okay. That's my daughter. Yeah?
What are you talking to?
I'm making a video. Okay, so here we go. Bomb, boss, bot, our endings. Okay, so we have our stems. Let's add our endings. We need bomb, boss, bot, bomus, botus, bont. Okay? If we translate this, it's I was conquering, you were conquering, he, she, it was conquering, we were conquering, y'all were conquering, they were conquering. Okay? And like I said, in some textbooks, and it might make a difference, it might not, but this becomes long when we add our ending to there. Okay? Before, it was short, but here it becomes long. It might matter, it might not. I don't know. But there's your moment of zen for the day. Okay? All right, let's do... Do I have another one? Yeah, I do. Let's do another one. Let's keep the fun going. Because we all love grammar. All 15 people that watch these videos like grammar. All right. Oh, and I love you 15, by the way, who watch my videos. I really do. Okay, let's do, what verb did I put down? I put down pono. That's a new one. I don't think we've ever done pono. Ponera. Posui. Ooh, that's fun. And positu. Oh, wow. Positus sum. Okay. It's a little irregular when you get past the present, but we're only worried about the present system right now, so we don't have to worry about the weird stuff. Okay, you get words like deposit, okay, or posit. That's a word in English too. If you posit something, you're putting or placing your argument out there, okay? This means to put or to place. Okay? All right, so let's turn this into an imperfect. Let's say I was pudding, okay? And you were pudding and all the rest of it. All right, first person, second person, third person, singular and plural. Let's find our stem right there. Okay, we're gonna write it down so we don't forget anything, leave anything out, screw anything up, because we all like doing it the right way. We like good grades. We like happy teachers. We like to impress people at parties with our grammar. Yes. No. Never mind. Okay. So here we go. Bomb. Boss. Bot. Yes, baby. I am drawing pictures. Bomus. My phone. Botus. Bot. Okay. Being a really horrible mother and trying to teach Latin at the same time. Lovely. All right. So, I was pudding, you were pudding, he, she, it was pudding, we were pudding, y'all were pudding, they were pudding. Okay? So, that's your third conjugation in a nutshell. Imperfect, okay, past tense, it happened before now, okay, it's in the past, all right, and not completed action. That comes with the perfect tense, which we haven't gotten to yet. Okay. Now, let's do IO third and fourth. Okay? I'm going to erase this whole thing. And I'm just going to write IO third and fourth. And it's imperfect. Now, these are a little different. I'm sorry for the background noise. My daughter is sleeping. Well, she's not even sleeping. She's just laying in her bed looking at her iPad. Okay. So these are a little different. If you recall, let's do an IO third just for the fun of it. Let's do Wanio because we've done Wanio before. Ooh, another Caesar word. Waney. Look at that. We hit Waney and Wiki all in one day. Alright. Ventus. Soon. Okay. Now, we're still going to do the same thing. Oh, I did fourth, didn't I? This is not an IO third. Do not write down what I just wrote down. I skipped right into fourth. Conjugation. That is not what I wanted. I wanted third. I looked at the wrong list. We will do cupio. Still a good word, and it's actually correct. Alright. Let's see. Cupiwi. That's fun. And Cupitus, I believe. Yes, it is. Cupitus soon. Alright. Rarely used word in my experience, but okay, so this is actually an IO third. I skipped right into my fourth conjugation list. We're going to find our stem the same way. We're going to take off the RE. Okay. Now, the stem is not going to be as nice as what we had before. We're going to have to make a slight change because of this I here. Okay. What's going to happen is we're going to add an I right there in between the P and the E. Okay. So what we're going to get for our stem is Q-P-A bomb. Okay. I know that's not the greatest news in the world, but it's not the worst news in the world either. Okay? It's not that bad. So, oh, by the way, this is the word for to want, to desire. Okay, we get the word Cupid. Okay, Cupid makes you want somebody, or makes them want you, right? Okay. So, anyway, cupidity is just a tendency to want. So anyway, so that's the big difference. We're going to have to put an I in there, okay? And it's the same thing for fourth, so you just have to know that for IO third and fourth that this happens, and remember, and practice it, and once you get it, it's gotten, and woohoo! Alright, so, Ku-be-a boss, Ku-be-a bot, Ku-be-a Bamus. Botus. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, I can't write. Okay. So, I was desiring, you were desiring, he, she, it was desiring, we were desiring, y'all were desiring, they were desiring. Okay. You would probably translate it a little differently if you wanted it to sound good, but for the sake of letting your teacher know, or letting, letting somebody know that you actually know that this is imperfect and it's not some other tense, you'll want to use was or were, okay? When you get to more advanced Latin, then you can kind of play with how you translate stuff. You'll notice that some of the verbs, it just sounds weird, like I was desiring. Kind of sounds weird, but that's the way we have to do it if we're going to indicate that this is the imperfect, and we're going to let somebody know that we know that it's imperfect. So, there you have that. Okay? Let's do a fourth. Let's do Wanio now that I gave you a little spoiler. That was a senior moment. Okay. I'm not even a senior yet. Imagine that. Aging exponentially as we film this. Okay. So, Wainio, Wanira, Wainy, and Wentus. Okay. So, this is the verb for to come. Okay. So, I came, I saw, I conquered. Alright. Alright. So, this is to come. And here we go. It's the same thing. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with our third, IO third. Okay, this one is kind of, I don't know, a little more straightforward in that there's already an I there. And if you write it with just an I, it's going to look weird and you're going to feel weird about it. So this one, the E sort of, in a sense, I don't know, it just seems to be more in place than the other one. I think adding an I is weirder than adding an E for some reason. I don't know why, but we're gonna just live with it because that's what the Romans did. All right, so Wainy is our stem. We have to add E and then our ending. So Wainy a bomb, Wainy a boss, Wainy a bot, Wainy a bomus, Botus, Bot. Okay? So I was coming, you were coming, he, she, it was coming, we were coming, y'all were coming, they were coming. Okay? It's not super terrible. You'll endure worse, so you can look forward to that. This is your imperfect, and this is the way it works for pretty much all of your first, second, third, and fourth conjugations. There are some irregularities, I'm sure, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. They'd have to be really weird verbs. I can't think of any really nasty exceptions. The imperfect really is a very nice tense in a lot of ways. Okay, so since we hit that, let's forecast a little homework here. Okay. And I actually want you to tell me if it's an IO third or a fourth that you are conjugating. I'm only going to give you, how many did I write down? I'm only going to give you three whole verbs. Okay, I want you to tell me if it's a third, an IO third, or a fourth. Okay? And then conjugate it, because what's the point otherwise? All right, these are all imperfect. Okay, so I want you to do Mitto, Mittera, Nisi, and then Misus Sum. Okay, this is to send. I don't know if we've done that verb or not. You get words like transmit. Okay, that mit there is your send. Okay, if you transmit something, you send it across. Literally, you're sending it across. Okay. Transmit an email, you send it across. All right. Transmit your cold, you send it across. All right. Anyway, there's one. The next one I wrote down for you was, ooh. Okay, well, that's fine. Duco. Ducara. Duxie. And This is to lead. Okay. If you induce something, you lead something or someone into something. Okay, so for some reason the word induce always makes me think of having kids. If they induce labor, they lead you into labor. Okay. We get words like duct, if you're getting duct work. Okay, the ducts in your house, your air ducts and so forth, they lead air where it's supposed to go. There are lots of others, but there you have it. Okay, and then the last one I had for you was munio. Oh, it's Mooney. Yeah, it's Mooney. Sometimes I have to refresh my memory, I tell you what. It's good for me to make these videos because sometimes I actually have to dig a little bit for a second just to refresh my own memory on some things. Whew. Talk about a great reference there. That gives you confidence, doesn't it? You know, we're all human. Okay, so this means to fortify. Okay. Munitions is a word we get from this. Actually, we get words like municipal and all kinds of words from this. So this means to fortify. These are the ones I want you to tell me which conjugation they are. And then I want you to conjugate in the imperfect. Okay? So, that's your job. Okay? And I will promise not to go 8 months without making another video. In fact, you know, I'm kind of thinking that I might have some time this weekend, so maybe I can squeeze out another video, or maybe even while my kids are in the bath marinating in bubbles. You might see me sooner than you even want to. Alright, so that's what we've got. If you have questions or you want me to brush up my resume, because I was having to scratch for a second to think of the third principal part for munio. Yeah, you can send me a comment in the box below, and yeah, I will get back to you. I promise I will. I love answering questions. I love Latin in general, so you really can't go wrong. And if I can't answer it off the top of my head, either A, you don't need to be watching my videos, or B, you're asking me a really crazy question that I've never had to think about. But I'll find an answer, no matter what. So you can always ask me questions. You can always ask me for extra help in anything regarding Latin. If you want to know good resources or a good book or anything, you can post me a question. Or if you just want to say that you love the videos and that you are now the star of all the parties you go to because you can conjugate in public, I would love to hear that. Alright, well, anyway, horrible, sad, pathetic humor aside, I will see you all later. Take care. Be safe. I know that things are weird, but we're gonna get through it. It'll get better. Just hang in there. Do your Latin. Latin will get you through. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.